Hey YouTube, something special just arrived today. I'm going to give you an unboxing of it. I did fold away some pertinent details, but I just wanted to let you guys see that, it did come all the way from the United Kingdom. Interesting thing is that I heard, hey, what's your address on the end of Monday? And I replied after the post or UPS office would have closed. So it arrived on Thursday. So that means it was like 2 days shipping from Tuesday to Thursday across the UK into the United States. So they didn't mess around. That was pretty fast. Also, it came in this box. Scale-wise, I thought it was going to be bigger. It's pretty tall, but we'll see. No, I cut all the tape already because this would have been longer and harder with one hand. There was a packing list. And apparently I have the sexiest Smyth Realiser because I have serial number 69. But as you can see here, it says there's one head tracker but double the cables. So that gave me some hope. I did pay for 2 head trackers. They really help this thing become, better. And I'll explain more about the actual unit as we get in. So as soon as I opened this, my cat actually jumped on top of this box before I could open it, claiming it as hers, I guess, and she may jump in to join us some point during this review. Hopefully not, but she's curious. And then inside of here was like a quick sheet. And I wrinkled it already, but it says, oh, here's the specifications. There are going to be firmware updates, so they may add more stuff. Right now it supports Dolby Atmos, True HD, and Dolby Digital, and they're going to add DTS as soon as it passes their inspection, but that can be updated later. The headphone EQ is cool, and they have downloads and also their own YouTube site with instructions, because this guy could be a little complicated. Plus there's a Mac driver, which is a little bit different than usual, but I'm grateful because I have a Mac. And just to give you an idea, if you haven't guessed yet by the 9.1.6 channel things, this is a processor for surround sound that into your stereo headphones processes a virtually identical 16 speaker imaging. So like up to 16 different speaker positions. It could say, hey, your sound sounds like it's coming from here, center channel, the side, behind you, above you, behind you. So yeah, and I think even below you if you have the ambisonics, which is kind of common for special kind of music formats, and also ambio sound processing and stuff like that with Sennheiser. But yeah, that's a little intro. Now the Smiths did a cool thing. Again, I have the sexiest serial number, but they packaged all the stuff inside of plastic bags, I guess to help prevent shipping from having like water issues, which is great. I think this was in it too, but I didn't want to crash it. This is a headband so that when you're doing your measurement of your rooms, the sound of your room, you can wear this headband with no headphone and get, good imaging placement without having to put headphones on. Or if you just, have that kind of style. In here was the power supply in a separate box. Wrapped in its own bubble wrap. This one I did not untape. Oh, but it's open anyway, great. So it's a power adapter, but it says Smith. Here's some of the specs on it if you ever need replacement or lose yours. Hopefully not. I like the stylized S on there, that's cool. I guess that's a power light. LED. Okay, and then we also have a lot of goodies in here. I noticed they have this lanyard, and that was something I was not expecting. I don't know what attaches to it here, but it is branded and kind of fun. Might be helpful with the measurements, or maybe it's just flare. We'll have to see. Clang, closet. Okay, and then I got a United States power plug for the power supply. We'll put those together. I like what they did here though, like to put it in a bag to keep our orders straight. That's very small business, good organization. And I've got these bags here. So this one inside has cables and extension cables and a head tracker clearly right here. A little rubber band to help mount it on different things, foam to back. You know, everything you need to clip it on and manage the cables is inside this bag. So that is on our packing list. The head tracker, plus the cable and extension cable, mounting clip and foam backing and goodies. So like all this stuff. Cool. And then I was looking, and there's another bag. This one's identical. So that actually has, well, that's the thing you put on top of your TV, I think, to emit light for the tracker. Or maybe the tracker, maybe this is the tracker goes on your head and there's a reader on the other side. However, there is in here, there is another head unit. So I did actually get both the head tracker units that I ordered, which is cool. So we got 2 of those bags. And I think this slipped out. Here's your receiver. So I don't know yet if this goes on top of the head or if this goes on the top of the TV, but I feel like this goes on top of the head to make you look extra funny. I bet my wife's gonna come home and just laugh at me one day. Be like, can you talk to the Cybermen now? No, this is the microphones go in your ear. See how tiny that nozzle is? That's awesome. So it could fit in your head. There's 2 pairs of medium tips, 1 small, 1 large. I bet you could use almost any phone ear tip to replace these if need be, but you really only need to do it once with your speakers and once with your headphones. And that's the second half of what this unit does, is that it adjusts the timbre and the tone, you know, equalizes your headphones so that they sound exactly like your speakers. As long as your headphone is capable of being at least as quick on the transients, at least as clean and clear without distortion as your speakers, which headphones being closer, it's a lot easier to do that and less expensive. You can have something that really might shockingly sound just like high-end speakers. I heard it with stacks, like the low-end L300 stacks, and it really, really impressed me at Can Jams. I saw like 3 different Can Jams and listened to it twice. This was a bit of a surprise. These are 2 rack mount ears, so that if you have a rack, you can use those included screws that are the right size and heavy enough to help me get this out. Okay, well there's there's the ears. They were protected. I undid the tape, so that falling out was me. But they're like powder coated. Nice real metal ear mounts so that you could attach it to the thing, the processor unit, and have it go just either wall mounted, rack mounted, what have you, and not wiggle jiggle around at all. Kind of starting to make me want to do that just because all my gear is piling up literally. So we have 2 of those. Always good. I'll still tell them that they sent me that even though I didn't pay for it, but I bet that they'll be like, okay. And then this, I recognize this. I have one already. It's a electrostatic wristband. There's a little metal that just sits on your wrist, and instead, you know how sometimes you walk on carpet and you build up a charge and you touch a doorknob and it sparks? Well, if you had been holding onto that doorknob the whole time and maybe plugged into a ground, which is what this wire is, you would be sending the electric current straight to it and not allowing it to build up and get big. So if you're touching the inside of a computer, or I guess the inside of the Smyth, you'd prevent yourself from shocking anything and damaging the equipment. You'd probably be fine because, again, walking around, you'd shock yourself all day long. But in the electrical equipment, this is a cool add-on. It shows that they know their electronics science and they want you to have your gear for years and years. So that was it for the parts bag, accessories bag, if you will. 69. And then in the box here, underneath it, is the actual Smyth unit. I was really surprised at this size. Let's get it out. So there's foam a little bit off to one side because the knobs stick out on this side. Let's see if I can get it out with one hand. $4,000 unit, guys. I gotta be somewhat careful. Sorry if the video quality is shaking while I do that. I'm prioritizing keeping this unit safe. But I paid for it on Kickstarter and they came through. It is a couple years after the initial expected delivery date, and I've seen that happen with Kickstarters many times before, but it was a pretty long wait. So, the bag was sealed with tape that I popped one corner. And check it out. It's actually pretty narrow, but it's wide enough for a regular rack mount. But yeah, I can Shaquille O'Neal this thing. Front of it looks pretty smooth. I like the powder coating. I haven't turned on the screen yet, but I've seen it in action. Got your microphone ports for gaming. You can connect your controller to that so that you have a mic channel going in there. I think with PC you just use the USB. I believe that's a reset button, 2 indicator lights, 2 separate volume controls, which is awesome. So if you and a friend or a spouse are listening and you have different ears, which all of us do have different ears, you can set the volume for your own choice. Head tracking inputs, regular 3.5 headphone outs, change the gain. Again, I like that it's separate for each headphone, and there was talk that they would actually enable balance through dual 3.5, that you could drive each ear separately. So if you have one ear isn't as sensitive as the other, you could adjust the volume independently, or there's a feeling of detents here. So I think these are digital volumes, which is better for channel matching and understanding just how much you have. The back of it is a super smorgasbord. All the ports, all of the things. You have individual output and input for each 16 channels, which is kind of ridiculous, but it's analog so that you always have some compatibility. I believe these are outputs for the headphones, so headphone A and headphone output B. You can go straight RCA to a amp if you want to use the DAC that's in here. No serviceable parts do not open. Okay, so we'll have to figure out what this is for later then. Don't get wet. Pretty standard. Sexy. And we have 4 HDMI ins, so we can really connect to a bunch of things. I'm hoping just to have an HDMI return. Yes, cat. Rachel's visiting. She wants to see. She was born after this Kickstarter. And then it was Sonic Cool. So these are licenses that they had to get. That was one of the major things that slowed it down, was getting the licensing and the correct stuff for the different companies. So DTS is coming real soon. They got it from Dolby and they needed that to really get it working. And then they have this is for upsampling. Yes, Rachel, look. She's curious too. Isn't everybody? She wants me to pet her, really. That's what it's all about. You have your digital outs, so if you want to connect to higher quality DACs, so you could bypass everything in here except the processor if you want and get it rocking. I bet that's for like firmware updates. Digital inputs if you just want stereo. And this is one of the few systems, I believe, that you can listen to stereo music and not be like, this is destroying the sound quality, because it's so realistic to 2-channel that it just sounds like you have 2 speakers out of your head in front of you. We also have what looks like a screw here. I bet that's for some kind of, like, this is definitely for an antenna. I wonder if that's for an antenna or maybe for the grounding wire. HT slave. I bet that's head tracking. So the unit that goes on top of your, one of these is for where your head tracker receiver goes on top of your TV, and the remote. Hey Christine, I think I left the remote over there. Can you toss it over, or actually pass it over? Let's not throw it. These are for like bass shakers, so they like vibrate when you sit down. Thank you. Yeah. And you could have that kind of tactile sense that you would feel with a real subwoofer emitting sound in the air. And stereo in, which is like, okay, if you just want to skip all this stuff, which I bet you could just use that as easily as you could use these, but whatever. Cool to have options, cool to have it all thought out. One of the things I will say, I've seen this in action. There's where the ear mounts go on. In action, this little screen here actually shows a little mini setup of the speakers around you, and then it has like volume levels that grow or shrink depending on how much volume each virtual speaker should be putting out. So that's really cool to see in action. Overall, this thing is pretty cool. British engineering at its finest, we could say. I've really been impressed with the effect in the past, and I can't wait to hear it myself. Thank you, guys.